I have never seen an otherwise quality movie fall apart at the finish line quite like Wonder Woman. When we get to the third act, things are moving. Ludendorff, aided by Dr. Poison, is about to use a new kind of gas to end the armistice and kill millions. Diana has deduced that Ludendorff is actually the god of war, Ares, in disguise, and believes that killing Ares will end the war and save the world. So, our heroes travel to a German airfield where Diana fights Ludendorff and wins, plunging the god-killer sword through his heart and making a big explosion, I guess because of his weird super cocaine. And when Diana looks at the airfield, expecting to see Ares' spell break and soldiers lay down their arms, the war continues. She's shocked. Steve Trevor finds a confused Diana, and when she asks why killing Ares didn't make everyone good, Steve replies that people aren't always good. Ares or no Ares, it's who they are, and there isn't one bad guy to blame. Awesome. The last few years of superhero movies have matured quite a bit. In 2016, Marvel gave us Civil War and Doctor Strange. In Civil War, when it seemed like the bad guy was going to use an army of super soldiers to topple world governments, it turned out he was just trying to incite a much more personal conflict between two friends. And in Doctor Strange, instead of closing the portal and destroying the city, Strange goes through the portal and fixes the city. We're subverting expectations. And now, Wonder Woman was continuing in that trend. You can't just kill one bad guy and magically fix everything. That isn't how the world works. Sometimes, instead of a big silly CGI fight, you need diplomacy and perseverance. And this realization rocked Diana's world. She thought she was fighting to save man from Ares, but if Ares isn't in charge, is man worth saving? And then what's the point of Diana continuing to fight if the fighting will never end? Steve leaves to try to down Dr. Poison's plane, but Diana's frozen. For the first time in the movie, she has no idea what to do. But then, Diana turns around, and who does she see but Ares, the big bad guy that she can kill to end the war. And they talk. Ares tells Diana that she's Zeus's daughter, and she's the only one that can kill Ares, but she should really just join him. Your standard Star Wars dialogue. Ares also says he doesn't make people fight wars, but then once he dies, the war ends. So I'm not sure what the movie was going for with that one. And then that launches into a big, dumb, dark CGI fight. Its mere existence undermines the more interesting point that the movie made 5 minutes ago. This fight is worse than every other big dumb superhero fight because the movie clearly knew better. And I get it. Ares is the obvious connection between the world of man and the world of the Amazons, especially during World War I. And he's a top-tier Wonder Woman villain. But Diana needs to be wrong. Ares showing up for a big fight that ends World War I ruins that. Ares should not have been the villain in this movie, especially if you're gonna kill him. Wonder Woman has one of the shallowest villain benches in comics. We can't afford to have her killed the most powerful villain on that bench this early. How do you heighten from there? You killed the god of war. It's tough to go fight a cheetah person next. It's like if in Cyclops' first X-Men movie, he killed you know what? Actually, this happens a lot. And Ares can't just not be the bad guy in this movie. We need to, in this movie, definitively say that he is not behind World War I. If we leave it up in the air, Diana won't be forced to question her worldview. Like if they never find Ares, she can still believe that Ares is indirectly the cause of wars on Earth, when it is far more interesting that man is 100% responsible for war. This way, Diana is forced to be wrong. So, I've made one small change to Wonder Woman, and instead of just flat out explaining it, I've written an exchange between Diana and Ares. It takes place at the same time in the film. Steve leaves to stop the plane, and Ares appears in the tower. But this time, the conversation's different. It brings up some changes to the movie that I believe build a stronger film. And I didn't change everything. There are some points that you'll remember from their conversation. And since we're talking about this movie, I don't think David Thewlis was the right fit for Ares, especially not with his silly British guy mustache. No offense, I do really like him. He just didn't strike me as the god of war. I remember at one point there were rumors that Sean Bean would be playing Ares. I like that a lot, but if I'm casting Ares, I might go younger in the Game of Thrones family. Nikolai Coster-Waldau would be my pick for Ares. Let's say for this rewrite, it's him instead. And Sir Patrick is just Sir Patrick, a helpful guy who they know. Now, I'm gonna read my version of the scene. And since I don't have a sexy Danish Nikolai Coster-Waldau accent, just pretend I do. And this time, I'm gonna set the scene with music. Now, I don't usually do this, but considering the circumstances, I think it's necessary. Here we go. Diana meets Ares in the tower. He's in his armor because why not? I'm gonna stop you, Ares, and end this war once and for all. My dear child, this war was here long before I was, and it will continue long after I'm gone. No, you corrupted the humans. You're the cause of this. You think I was the cause of their suffering, their hatred, their jealousy. I guess that is what they would tell you. Who? The Amazons, Diana. I did not corrupt man. Zeus did. No, Zeus created man in his image. What did they tell you about the gods? That they were bastions of truth and justice, fair and merciful? All lies. The gods were vain and petty. Zeus did create man in his image. Look around. This is his image. Violence, pain, suffering, lies. Give me that lasso you carry, and I'll tell you a new story. One I doubt you'll hear from anyone but me. Zeus created man, you're right about that, but not because of some grand benevolence. He was bored, and he wanted praise. So Zeus created a species to worship him. Statues, paintings, all that. And for a while, it worked. Man was obedient, they did what Zeus wanted, and Zeus was happy. For a while. But just as he grew bored without man, Zeus grew bored with them. So Zeus and the rest of the gods started toying with the humans, playing tricks on them for their own entertainment. I think Zeus even fathered a few human children. And then they forgot about them. And that was when I noticed. When all the other gods lost interest. The humans had a proclivity towards war. It was beautiful. They fought with each other over land and treasure and women. They even invented reasons that weren't there. And as man's wars became more powerful, so did I. I was able to feed off of it. Their wars gave me strength. And for a moment, I was even more powerful than Zeus. He wouldn't have it, so Zeus tried to kill me. And when that failed, he did the only other thing he could. He started killing them. Plagues, famine. Zeus knew that if he ended their fighting, I would lose my power and he could destroy me. But you'll never guess what happened. As their crops fell and their children died, the humans only fought more. More death, more destruction, more suffering. And I became the most powerful god of all. Zeus rallied the rest of the gods to destroy me. Funny thing is, I wasn't even trying to fight Zeus. I liked things the way they were. But like I said, Zeus was jealous and fearful and obsessed with controlling the throne, so he couldn't help himself. He led all of the rest of the gods of Olympus against me. My own brothers and sisters. I didn't want to fight with them, but what choice did I have? And even our fighting gave me more strength. They didn't stand a chance. And as he died, Zeus summoned every bit of strength he had left, and he cast me down to Earth. Here, where I've been for the last few millennia, lost all my power, a shadow of my former self. But this war, the Great War, may finally give me my power back. If it continues, and I think it will, I'll be strong enough to re-enter Mount Olympus and be the god I once was. The only god. I'll never let you. I'll stop you. How? You can't stop this. Those gods whose weapons you carry, they made this. I don't cause their wars. I can't. I have no power to influence the humans. The only reason you can see me is that you're part of our world. An Amazon. But to them, I might as well not exist. I'm merely a spectator in their theater of war. But I'll fight. And what will you fight for? The honor of the gods? They don't have any. They never did. The men you're trying to protect are not worth your protection. They're violent, cruel. You can't fix them because they were never good. And you can't kill me to end this war because I have no part in it. This war will go on, like it always has. I've always liked the Amazons. You're fierce, strong, independent. And I swear, on my honor, when I come into power, I will leave Themyscira untouched. You'll be free to live a long life. Go home, Diana. You're too good for them. So, the change. In this version, the Greek gods were bad, kind of like they usually are in Greek mythology, not evil, but messing with people, fighting amongst themselves. And now, instead of fighting for the honor of the gods to save man, Diana has to confront the fact that the gods are the reason man is bad to begin with, and she can't kill Ares and win the war because he isn't the cause of the war. So now, Diana has to decide what she's really fighting for. The Amazons lied to her, she can't fight for them, the gods were jerks, she can't fight for them either. She has to get rid of all of that baggage and fight for herself, and decide what she believes in, which she will ultimately decide is love. I don't hate that part of the ending, I just don't necessarily think this movie earned it. And in this version, Ares isn't necessarily sympathetic, but he's also not just plain evil. He didn't want to kill the gods, it was forced on him. The best kind of villain is one who thinks they're the good guy, and this Ares does clearly think of himself as a victim, and because of that, his motivations are a lot easier to understand. And another really cool thing about this idea is Wonder Woman gets a lot of fight scenes and all kinds of good action, but we can use Ares in the future. He'll be her kind of Thanos-y big bad that keeps rolling through these movies. Maybe in Wonder Woman 3, some world conflict will give him enough power to exist again, and she'll have to kill him. And it'll make sense because we've been heightening towards that. It would feel really satisfying. Now I know what you're thinking. This was all genius, you do sound like Nikolai Coster-Waldau, it couldn't have been done better. But if Ares isn't the villain, what happens at the end of the movie? How does it end? Well, we'll look at that next week in part 2 of this video, Paging Dr. Poison. Thank you to everybody who patronizes me on Patreon. I really appreciate it. If you want to see your name up here and get access to the videos early, throw me a buck or two at patreon.com/NandoVMovies. You might be able to tell that the sound quality in this video is way better than usual. It's because I used some of that Patreon money to upgrade my recording equipment. So Patreonization will make the videos better. Let me know in the comments if you like my change and what you think the Dr. Poison thing will be, because I've 100% absolutely definitely written it and don't need any help. Like and share the video with friends of yours who saw Wonder Woman, especially if they also had problems with the third act. And finally, for updates on videos or polls about which X-Men has the dumbest costume, or just to message me, follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I'm at NandoVMovies. That's all I've got. I'll see you next time.